Good morning, world. Welcome to Chats with Baba. In our weekly presentation, I talk about issues that impact the lives of children. The purpose of this podcast is to inform and empower parents of young Black children. What we say is applicable to all children, but I specifically focus on the Black child simply because of as a Black educator, and I've looked at a lot of the data of what has or has not happened over the last 50 years. So by informing parents is to help them to lay the foundation for children's learning in school and beyond. And so, what we do know is that there young Black children have natural genius, and we're trying to tap that genius. And we're trying to tap that through experience and exposure, which lays the foundation for life. And what we strive for is excellence. And remember, this is a journey, and it's sort of like the marathon. There's a beginning, then it's a long stretch, and you have to pace yourself. Over the last few weeks, I've talked about a number of topics. Some people have looked at some things I've talked about in my newsletter and figure out how to get back in touch with me. One was dealing with you're acting white. Black children, if you're showing signs of intelligence, you're acting white. And my quick message was, don't go for the hype. Don't go for the hype. Another topic that I've spoken about in the last couple of weeks is teaching children to develop an appreciation and a love for learning. And that just if you can instill that in them, it will sustain them through life. Today, I want to talk about something that has impacted everybody in America and beyond. The impact of the Covid-19 virus. There's a lot of talk about it. It's impacted education like nothing that I've experienced in my lifetime. It has changed education in America that will never go back to the way that things were. But the thing that keeps popping up in the news and reports is you hear the term lost learning. Lost learning. What is it that the children who would normally be in school, face-to-face teaching, have lost over the course of this year? The degree to what has been lost, we don't know. How much has been lost, we don't know. The impact on children's development, we don't know. Because there was no crystal ball to tell us that this was forthcoming. So today, what I want to, share with you is, what do we do about it? What do we do about it? What are your concerns? And obviously, your concerns, whatever you have, are legitimate concerns. Districts throughout the country are talking about returning to the classroom in the fall. And some are saying we're mandating that children return in the fall. And they want them vaccinated and so forth and so on. So there's some reluctance, even as I am speaking, about getting children vaccinated. For whatever reason, people are holding out. And what schools are saying is that you can't return in some cases unless you're vaccinated. Some parents are saying, I want to keep my children at home and continue distance learning. Some districts are saying we're going to have a hybrid, some combination of returning to the classroom and some combination of virtual teaching. Now remember, schools shut down immediately, and schools immediately went to online or distance learning or virtual teaching, something that we had, for the most part, no preparation for it. I mean, it wasn't a gradual shift, it was an overnight reverse of what was going on. And so there, as I was saying, there's some concerns about how do we get back to some sense of normalcy, and what impact did this have on children? Well, I have two grandchildren. One has just finished high school, and one is entering the 12th grade. So I constantly talk to them about keeping up through their projects, keeping up as a result of reading. And so they get a steady dose of this from me and from their parents. That still does not replace what they would get out of a classroom. Now, keep in mind that most of us learn through a face-to-face encounter with our classroom teacher or teachers. And teachers presented information, presented projects, presented an ongoing engagement of question and answering, and so forth and so on. And so this enabled us, vis-a-vis reading and projects, to learn, to develop new knowledge, to develop new skills, and to have an impact on our disposition. That is how we look at things. All of that has fallen by the wayside because of this pandemic. Now, what does it mean if schools are saying we want to get back to some sense of normalcy? And what does it mean in terms of the reluctance on the part of a number of parents of the uncertainty? And that's exactly what it is at this point. There's a great deal of uncertainty. You hear a lot about social emotional learning. How will this impact on children in terms of their behavior? How will this impact on them in terms of their performance? We don't know. Like I said, we don't know. And so schools, school committees, boards, and others are wrestling with what is the best way to return to school, and what do we do about what has not been learned. I can assure you that there is some lost learning. How much, we don't know. What the long-term impact is, we don't know. What I say when parents call and talk to me, and I said, over the summer, do as much as you can to build on what they know by going to the library, by having them read, by engaging them in conversations about what their concerns are. And so what children are concerned about is legitimate. So, but by engaging them in conversations, by at least having some sense of going back and forth, giving them a chance to speak about issues and concerns, it allows them to speak to you as a parent about how they feel about what has been going on this year. Now, for some children, they will be going through some degree of trauma. How much, I don't know. I'm just sharing with you that these are things that all of us are wrestling with at this point in time. And we're not sure of all of what we need to do, but we have some assurance. And the data and time will tell what has been lost and what impact it's had on children. But I say to you at this point in time, do those things that will help stabilize any concerns that your child has, and to stay in touch and informed by what comes out of the school and the concerns that you have about this COVID 19 and the effects of it on children and what they have lost in terms of learning. Again, school districts locally, around the state, around the country, are wrestling with what the return to school and the classroom is going to look like. They don't know what combination of delivering instruction will take place. We don't know how this is going to impact on children's attendance next year. We don't know if we don't know the degree to which children have disengaged by not sitting in the classroom with their peers and the teacher, because so much of learning that takes place is a result of the interaction and the sharing of what has been learned, or the sharing of how children work through different situations. So the engagement is a critical part to teaching and learning, especially if the years have been spent in the classroom with the teacher. So don't be surprised at some of what you may see in your children and some of their reluctance. Don't be surprised. I mean, this is just an outgrowth of this pandemic, and it's something that we're all going to have to live through and work through. What some school districts are doing is they're extending the day by adding on either during the early part of the day or adding on in the latter part of the day. In other words, extra classroom time. Will it make up for lost learning? We don't know. Like I said, this isn't something that we've experienced in past years. So districts are trying to figure out on their own how to wrestle with this. But I can assure you that education, as we have known it, has changed. I mean, this pandemic has forced districts to look at the delivery of instruction like they've never done before. Families with resources are able to shore up some of the gaps that exist as a result of this pandemic. My concern is we have to accept that there is some lost learning. Many parents did what they could in terms of homeschooling, but it's different when children go to class 5 days a week, 180 to 190 days out the year. And you have teachers who have planned instruction, planned activities, planned events, planned engagement, planned strategies. All of this goes into the delivery of high quality instruction. And that's not to discredit what many parents did at home with their children. But that's a little different when teachers have a framework for delivering instruction as opposed to, some homeschooling. So again, I don't mean to sound fragmented, but we don't know about the effects of this pandemic. I mean, just a year ago, we were knocked out of the box for an entire year. So if you have concerns, I would go to your local school and share those concerns and let them know what you're seeing in your children, and let them know what your concerns are and how they can be addressed within the context of this coming school year. This is going to be again almost an experimental year after returning from being home for a year and coming back from something that you may see some emotional concerns, you may see some social concerns, because by nature children gravitate to each other. Little children just gravitate to each other. By nature, in the middle and high school, you're talking about peer engagement, peer interaction, the peer influence. So that has been absent this year. They've not had the opportunity to do all those things that you normally do during the course of a school day, all the things that you normally do during the course of a school year, all of the things that you normally do during breaks, whether it's the holiday break, whether it's a special events day. All of that has been lost this year. So there has to be a rekindling of that. And it isn't something like you jump started and you back to where things were. Because as I said, this COVID pandemic has changed education, and some of the changes are going to be lasting. And so, I just want to stop there to say that today I wanted to just make you aware that this has been a year of testing all of us. So now it's as the new school year is about to unfold, to bring your attention to local schools and the things of that nature. I would say during the course of the summer, help your children to relax a little bit and to do some reading and to try to get back into a school mode way of doing things. Follow my newsletter because I try to address some of the concerns in the next couple of months newsletters that'll be coming out. And visit my website. There's some books there and some other resources that I'll be posting there. So with that, keep in mind that the children are our future and we want to invest in them as we go forward. Have a good day.